Yahoo Finance, you completely missed the point as to why GameStop is in trouble. And how a journalism website, a finance journalism website, is totally missing this is beyond me. Let's get into it. There's a lot to discuss.
Skip it up and that up.
So before we get into the Yahoo Finance piece about GameStop from Josh Inomoto, whatever, let's talk about how terrible last year was for GameStop, because a lot happened and it's all indicative of how much trouble the company is in and how even some of that trouble has bled into this year. Like the cherry on top of the turd sundae for GameStop in terms of how terrible they're doing actually just recently happened in late January. So let's begin. So it all started last year when newly appointed CEO Daniel A. DiMatteo, who took over for J. Paul Raines, he actually resigned due to health issues and unfortunately he passed away. He took over as GameStop CEO. He was a part of the company for 16 years, took over as CEO in February, and 3 months later he quit. Just say that he had personal reasons. So you work for a company for over 15 years, you take a coveted position people would literally kill to be the CEO of a company, and then you say, yep, I'm out, personal reasons, see you later, and you just take the job. That was just a bad sign to begin with. Then in the third quarter of last year, GameStop reported almost $500 million loss. The exact number was $488.6 million. That is a hell of a loss for any company to post. Then due to GameStop announcing that third quarter loss, their stocks tumbled 13% the day after to $12.80 a share, making that the worst day for the company on the stock market since March of last year. Then GameStop also sold the Spring Mobile business they had for $700 million. That was them trying to diversify away from just games. Didn't work out for them, so they sold that. But early this year, it seemed like GameStop may have been saved from two potential buyers. Yay! Investment companies to the rescue. Not really, though. Those two potential buyers were Apollo Global Management and Sycamore Partners, but that deal fell through. And then there was no buyers for GameStop, and now GameStop is financially crumbling. As of me making this video on March 6th, 2019, their stock price per share is $11.64. So things are still not looking good for the company because their business model is antiquated. But not according to Yahoo Finance. They saying, oh, we're not looking at it from the right perspective. It's not like what Netflix did to Blockbuster and what Amazon has done to a bunch of brick and mortar stores. It's different. You're missing the whole point. And we're going to discuss that part of their article, and I'm going to tell you why Yahoo Finance is completely wrong. Now I'm going to read you a paragraph. We're going to discuss or read another paragraph and discuss it. So buckle in. It's going to be a long video. Okay, just letting you know that now. So this starts where Josh Inomoto says GameStop stock is complex. And this is what he had to say. I've encountered the arguments about the similarities between GameStop and Blockbuster for years as GameStop stock began to tumble. I'm not sure if others have cited parallels between Blockbuster and Sears. Either way, I don't like these or other analogies because they don't quite fit GameStop's outlook. How? Digital distribution is taking over when it comes to gaming and game streaming. Which game streaming is way, way down the road, years upon years. We still need a much better internet structure, throughout the world for cloud gaming to become the norm. So yes, that's way down the line, but digital distribution is already a thing. I just made my previous video talking about how Microsoft is releasing this May a diskless Xbox One. So it's already here. Physical sales have been declining for years. So how is it not a good analogy? But let's continue. Let's be clear about these cautionary tales, he says. In pretty much all these cases, digitalization utterly replaced physical stores. Yeah, you're right. In the case of Blockbuster, Netflix provided a quicker, more convenient way to obtain the same exact product. Yes, unless you really wanted to get in your car late at night and go to a store where you could encounter homeless people, streaming movies was a better option. I don't know where your Blockbuster was, but I never encountered a homeless person going to Blockbuster. But anyway, although it might appear that streaming services are also replacing brick and mortar video game stores, that's actually not the case. In fact, I'm going to say something shocking. It's impossible for content streamers to replace GameStop. How? Yes, if you're looking at it from game streaming, cloud gaming, okay, yes, the internet's not ready around the world yet. But this article from our buddy Josh Inomoto here, he's just ignoring digital distribution, where it doesn't matter how fast your internet is, unless you have like near dial-up speeds, which some of my subscribers do, where you don't have to worry about streaming. You don't need to have latency for you. Just download. You start a download. Like say you want to purchase a game on Steam or on PS or the PlayStation Store or on Xbox Live or the Microsoft Store, whatever. You download it. Say you're going to go to work or go to school or go wherever. Let it download throughout the day, and then by the time you get home, your game is there. It's on your hard drive. You don't have to worry about latency and other things like that. Why are you completely ignoring that, Josh? Anyway, he continues, before you bombard me with the nasty emails, let's look at this logically. Yeah, please, let's look at this logically, because you're not. Modern gaming consoles like Sony PlayStation or Microsoft Xbox feature almost lifelike graphic with superb frame rates. I may argue about the frame rates a little bit. You know, the Xbox One X is a pretty kick-ass console, but to duplicate this enormous data transfer wirelessly is an extremely tall order. Yes, for cloud gaming, yes, you're right, but digital distribution has nothing. It almost seems like he doesn't understand the technology. Digital distribution is still you having the game on your hard drive. You're just downloading the game, and you're the CPU and GPU of your PC, your PlayStation 4, your Xbox, or your Nintendo Switch is still running it. That's not cloud gaming. That's just you purchasing the game and downloading it, and it's still being computed locally, and the GPU is still putting the graphics on the screen locally. Do you not understand how that works? It's not all about cloud gaming. Anyway, to duplicate this enormous data transfer wirelessly is extremely tall order, which even with cloud gaming, I've done it fine on 150 megabits per second up and down. Now, again, there's a lot of places that don't have that internet, but he's making it like it's still 2011 and OnLive is still a thing. That was really premature, but you know, he's totally missing the point. That's why I'm not impressed with Amazon's foray into video game streaming, because it's not ready yet. But who gives a crap about cloud gaming? Cloud gaming is in the future. But digital distribution is already taking over. I'm going to show you something after I'm done reading this that's happening in the UK just to show you. And there's been charts showing in the States too that physical sales of games are declining every single year and digital sales are skyrocketing. They're skyrocketing. A perfect example, again, I only get games mostly, 99.9% of the time, digitally on my Nintendo Switch. And he continues, still missing the point. I cannot believe he put this article up. Even if streaming technology evolves to the point where it can handle today's games, guess what? The console makers themselves will improve their craft. It's simple science. With consoles, you can utilize insane amounts of data with none of the stream's performance lag issues. You don't understand the technology. Who cares? Okay, so they come out with a better console, or they come out with better technology. Like, say these servers, okay, have a GTX 1080 in them with a 4-core processor, an i7 with hyperthreading. Okay, so if you have the bandwidth, and if they upgrade to a 2080 Ti with a 8-core Ryzen processor, it's not going to take any more bandwidth. If they already have the bandwidth to do 4K 60, you're still going to be able to do 4K 60, and you'll just get the better textures, better lighting, better frame rate, so on and so forth. That makes no sense. He doesn't understand. Wow, someone wrote an article at Yahoo Finance talking about something like this that's very crucial and important, and doesn't know what they're talking about. What do you mean? What do you mean? It makes no sense what you're talking about. It doesn't. They can upgrade to. They can put 10 GTX 2080 Ti's and SLI with two 32-core Threadripper processors, and you're still going to be able to stream it if you have the bandwidth. The graphics and frame rate will just be better. Well, maybe not with the Threadripper processors, because sometimes if you have too many cores, the games start doing micro stuttering. But you get my point. He doesn't get what he's talking about. This article just makes no sense. And last but not least, this is his final paragraph. And because no one is replacing consoles, again, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about. I can't jump in the sell GameStop stock bandwagon. However, bears might contend that game developers could sell their games directly to the consumer via downloads, but GameStop can encounter with its low-cost used games business model. The used games business model has been in decline because there's more and more people buying the games digitally. During the 7th generation, Josh, you had a point. okay, where everyone was buying 99.9% of their games digitally, that was GameStop's bread and butter. That's why they were a juggernaut back then. But as time went on and more people downloaded games digitally, it's declining. There's less people buying games physically and buying them digitally. So that isn't GameStop's bread and butter anymore. As a matter of fact, I've done other videos talking about this too, how there's a steep decline in physical sales of video games and a sharp rise even in the States of digital distribution. But this is actually just from a few days ago from Eurogamer. In the UK in 2018, 80% of UK video game sales were digital. In the UK, I had to take a couple minutes to translate the numbers here, said that the 3.86 billion generated by a video game market in the UK, okay, in 2018, which equates to over 5 billion US dollars, let's say, all right? In 2018, of that 3.86 billion, 3.09 billion, which is about well over 4 billion US dollars, was from digital sales, and only 770 million pounds, which equates to a little over $1 billion, was from physical sales. That's from 2018, and it just keeps on increasing. Why do you think Microsoft's even attempting to release a digital-only Xbox One S where it doesn't have a physical drive in it? If they didn't think there was a huge market for it that was growing, do you think they would release a console like that and waste their time and money? Now look, I'm not all about digital distribution. There are conveniences to it, but I also know there's downsides to it. And the benefits to having physical copies of games, you could let friends borrow them. You could trade them in at GameStop if you want to get ripped off. You could sell them. You could do whatever you want with them. Well, not on PC, because a lot of times there's a serial number and then it's watermarked to your PC and the DRM. But you get my point. You understand what I'm saying. I'm not saying there isn't benefits to having physical copies. And I know there's parts of the world and in the States where the internet's so bad that even downloading games via digital distribution isn't even really an option yet, let alone actually doing cloud gaming. But this article from Yahoo Finance really bothered me because it totally missed the big elephant in the room, which isn't cloud gaming, because cloud gaming is still ways off before it's mainstream and 100% relevant. The thing that is going to be GameStop's demise quickly and in the near future is digital distribution, because people are already embracing it. And like I said, in the UK, 80% of game sales last year in 2018 were digital. I don't know if GameStop hired someone over at Yahoo to do a damage control piece, but I don't care what anybody says. The writing is on the wall for GameStop. And I love my local GameStop, and I love the employees there, and I would love to see them happy there and working there forever. But I also have to be a realist, and I'm telling you, next generation, most people are going to be buying their games digitally. And in the distant future, they won't even be downloading the games. They'll just be streaming them from the cloud. But that's still a ways off. And unfortunately, GameStop's antiquated business model does mean it's going to go the same direction as Blockbuster, and there's nothing they can do to avoid it. And that's why I don't think there was buyers, because the buyers knew that there's nothing they could do with GameStop to save it from its inevitable demise. This is Rich of Review Tech USA signing out. Have a good one.